Hurry,
Hold on a second.
hurry. Please, hurry up. This is pressing, urgent. I can't tell you how pressing. You can't fathom how pressing.
How's it going? What's up? Did you need something?
No,
Who's that big guy?
I don't know. She's older than me.
So what are you doing over here talking to us and not over there sealing the deal with that cougar?
Well, maybe, Roddy, if you guys hadn't called me over here.
Return to your lady friend. Duncan, please return to your lady friend. Please let her know that this conversation was entirely about her. In other news, this is very awkward for you.
There we go, a clip from The Way Back, and I'm delighted now to be joined by Jim Rash and Nat Faxon, who, I'll get this right, they wrote the movie, they directed the movie, you're in the movie. You were best boy in Grip.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah. I was hoping you'd get to those.
Yeah.
I did craft service.
Yeah.
Oh, very important.
Yes.
Which, well, you didn't see craft service on our production.
Yeah, it was just a bowl of water, a bowl of apples, and a murky water.
You've got to keep the budget down, haven't
Yes.
you?
Yeah.
It's very important.
We
Yeah.
had no budget for anything
And
but
just
murky
milk.
water and milk and apples.
The movie comes out over here in a couple of weeks, but it premiered, is this right, at the Sundance Film Festival? So that was the first time it had been shown to an audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back in January, this was.
Yes.
Yes.
How was that for you?
It was amazing and emotional, just because, up until that point, obviously this had been a long journey, an 8-year journey to try to get this movie made. And then, we finally got to shoot it and then, did post on it. And up until that point, up until Sundance, probably only about 20 to 30 people maybe had seen the film, friends and, other directors and stuff that we tried to get some notes from. And then you show up to Sundance and you walk into the Eccles Theater where it was playing, and it's, close to 1,300. And then all of a sudden, everybody is seeing it and your cast is seeing it for the first time. And so it was really nerve-wracking. Luckily, the Sundance programmers gave us a shot of whiskey before we went out on stage, which I think helped calm our nerves. And then it was warmly received. And I think it was finally just that moment of release that you could relax a little bit and emotional in the sense that it had taken so long and you'd, been trying for so long, and you finally got to that point where people were seeing it and it had, and amazingly liked it. And so I think it was a really special moment for us.
And autobiographically, it's more your story,
Yes.
Jim, is that right?
The first scene is probably the only, quote unquote autobiographical moment. The very first scene, yes, when Steve Carell's character is asking our protagonist Duncan what he thinks he is on a scale from 1 to 10. That unfortunately happened to me when I was 14. My stepfather at the time asked me what I thought I was on a scale of 1 to 10 as we drove in our station wagon up to our summer vacation. We always spent our summers in Michigan, and I basically said I was a 6 because I thought that was very, very above average of me, and not selling myself too short, but he thought I was selling myself. I need to go shorter, so he went with 3.
I mean, it's funny, and you can laugh about it, but it's also a really shocking
Yes.
opener to a movie, isn't it?
Yes, I think we've always, even with The Descendants, we've always reacted to material, and that obviously was an adaptation, but we react to material that I think is almost where comedy and drama are almost the same thing. They're sort of interlinked, which I think they often are. But I think we like the idea of starting from sort of this, while humorous, it's sort of a shocking sort of humor to it, and like you said, dramatic, and sort of launches the right sort of mood you need to understand this, what this kid's plight, where it originated from. So I think we never like to shy away from pain.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much in your life that it's so easy for us.
Oh no, I'm like a walking jar of pain.
There's a whole trilogy of pain.
Oh yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah.
We could just uncork it and just keep writing to it.
You mentioned The Descendants, which of course you won Oscars for. Well, I don't know. Do you win one Oscar or do you have an Oscar each?
No, they either give you.
And Alexander has one. So
Yes,
each
we
have
all
one.
receive.
Oh,
one.
okay.
They put
okay.
your name first on
Yeah.
yours. That's what makes it distinguishable.
So what was the point then when you thought, you know what, we can actually direct a movie now ourselves? We don't have to rely on Sean or somebody else to direct it. We're going to do it ourselves.
You just
You
just a cocky attitude.
Yeah. We just got as soon as we won that Oscar, we got very cocky.
I can do this. And action. That really came out of that 8-year journey. That came out of, I know I answered a question you did not ask earlier because I misunderstood, but it went through such a journey of different directors looking to put their stamp on it. And it was frustrating because not unlike any other small independent movie, it was a matter of timing and getting all the right pieces in the right order and money. And so when about, whatever it was, 2 years ago, we sort of had that grassroots sort of decision to take a grassroots approach is what I should say. And that sort of, in that process, we just said, let's commit to it. Let's direct it ourselves. We understand the vision. We understand these characters. It came from our head, and we just sort of went for it. So I think that then the Descendants and the Oscar at least allowed us the opportunity to have people listen to us for at least 5 minutes before whether they wanted to choose to help us or not. So while I think it gave us some a little bit of cachet, it didn't greenlight the picture by any means. You still have to prove yourself.
Tell me about Liam James, who plays the lead role in this movie. Obviously, there are big names in the film as well: Steve Carell, Toni Collette, amongst many others, Sam Rockwell. But tell me about Liam, who has worked for a long time, but is a less familiar face, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a complete discovery for us. He had, like you said, been on that show The Killing on AMC and a few features as well, but he was new to our eyes. And we had a few casting sessions in LA. This was not the case, in the sense we didn't have this big countrywide search and, find this kid in some mall in America. We didn't have the money to do that, and so we put our trust in our casting director to bring talented kids in, and he flew down from Vancouver, where he's from, and auditioned for us. And I think as soon as he walked in the room, Jim and I both sort of sat up a little bit because he physically looked like the Duncan that I think was in our minds, and he was sort of concave chest and sunken shoulders and sort of a paler face and kind of shuffled in and looked down, and then when he read, there was a very effortless quality to how he performed, and he was very natural, and he was very grounded and real, and just felt like this kid. And we had Toni Collette come in and read with him, and I think all of those qualities you can see when you're watching the movie. I mean, he really felt like he was both going through this sort of rite of passage on screen as well as off. He connected very personally with Sam, and they got along really well. And it was his first big feature. He was literally in every scene, in every frame of the movie, and so you could see him sort of come out of his shell a little bit. And there's this I don't know, wry personality underneath, this sort of guarded shell. And he's just a wonderful kid. I think we were so lucky to have him because the success of the movie does sort of hinge on his performance. So
Sam is just brilliant. I mean, he makes it look easy, doesn't it? And this is actually what I want from my movie stars. I want them just to look like they're so at home doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
that's him.
Sam just looks like he just slips into that character, and it's just totally easy for him.
He does. It's interesting because, Sam is often, he's one of those unsung sort of actors, and since he's been in so many things, and he's always stands out. But he does normally play sort of ne'er-do-wells and shady guys, and when you meet him, he's very sweet and very loving and feels very familiar to you, even though you may never have met, and very funny. But I think he always talked about, he doesn't see himself, in playing Owen, he was very much studying everything from Walter Matthau and, Bad News Bears to Michael Keaton and Mr. Mom to Bill Murray and Meatballs, which is probably what was in our brain when we were writing the character of Owen. And I guess, he'll say he doesn't fancy himself like a funny guy, but he understands these guys. I mean, he's very methody actor, and so he really did sort of just consume it in love, being this Owen character.
I think when you are on holiday, and I've experienced this on some holidays, you do kind of hero worship these people. If you're a kid and you meet people who work, at the park or at the campsite or whatever, these guys are like legends to you.
Yeah.
And you really get that from the movie.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And usually it's such a compressed amount of time that you have with those people that everything seems so vivid and so, I don't know, immediate in a way. I think I look back to the summers, where I had people that influenced me in my life, and they stand out because I think it's so concentrated. It's such a short amount of time that you spend with these people, be it so powerful in a way. And you have the rest of the year to sort of think back on those moments.
Yeah, and summer's is an independent time for when you're that age. Somehow you're sort of released into the world, hopefully occupying your time, especially when you go to these places where the adults are sort of having their libations and jetting off to the parties, and the kids are sort of on their own adventure. I think it's such a vulnerable time in the sense that you're sort of out of your element, so you're exposed to these people, and they can have a profound effect on you.
So The Way Back is out over here on Wednesday, the 28th of August. Jim, Nat, lovely to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank
nice
you
to meet
very
you.
much.